and thank you for joining me this evening. Beetlejuice, get out of my water. If you have any questions along the way about what I'm doing or painting, please do not hesitate to ask. Hopefully, I will see your comments in the feed. But if I do not, I will. I'll try and figure out how to get that working later. So, what I'm doing is I picked out some bones. All the paints I'll be using are Reaper Miniature Bones paints tonight. I took this beast that I sculpted. I started sculpting it on two. Let's see. I finished sculpting it Saturday. I started sculpting it the Monday before. The first sculpting session was on Twitch, and then the second one I did on Facebook Live. And so I wanted to give this one a painting on here and see how it goes. So I wanted the shirt itself to be kind of a dirty creamish color. So I'm going to start with this aged bone. I'm just going to put a little bit of that down on my palette. So it's not quite a cream. It's got a little bit of a brownish tint to it. I'm going to take a look-see right here and see if I am seeing the... No. Darn. Why don't I see the comments? I see the piece right there. So let's see. Maybe I will see... There we go. I see... Carrie, I see your comment. If you would do me a favor and do another comment, just to see if I see it in this feed or if I have to... hopefully it'll all start coming through this way. Still getting the hang of the Facebook Live thing. All right, so I have... for the brush, I'm using a number 4 Golden Taklon Trekell brush. It should normally be a really flat brush, but you know, this brush has been dry brushing on a bunch of pieces, so it's a little bit beat up. So I'm just gonna take this and just start slapping it over top of the fabric of the shirt. Now the shirt doesn't have a whole lot of texture to it, so it's not going to quickly start to show any great sculpting skills. Like when we start going over top of the fur, you'll really get to see texture real quick just by slapping paint around just a little bit over top of it and lightly going over it. Here we want to just start putting a foundation of color in and know that we're going to have to come back and do some blends and put some shadows in and build some more color on top of this. So one of the things when spraying with black, one of the things when spraying it with black, the black really starts to soak it up and absorb a good bit of the paint. So it's damn, 2 comments. Carrie, did you just comment for me? But the black really starts to soak it up, especially on this first go. So a lot of times with this, you really need to put down a couple of coats, depending on how rich and vibrant you want the color to be. With the black, I prefer to do a black primer so that especially in the nooks and crannies, it makes it easy to paint that, and you don't have to hit everything because that black's going to be in some of the recessions, which makes it easier for doing the shadows later. All right, just going to keep putting some more of this paint on here. The shirt color definitely is not the most exciting, but so I'm thinking about this creature and I'm thinking about how he interacts in the world of Revlo, and I see him as being almost like a smuggler-esque type of character with the trade routes. He's not really a hero. He's definitely a little more scoundrelly. I think that helps explain the missing eye a little bit on the other side. So there'll be a good story to go with that and how he lost it. Haven't really thought through that part yet, but I'm going to go ahead and put down some more of the aged bone on my palette, and then I will, damn, why do I not see the, hey, the reflection setup? Like the mirror image, Mr. Russ? Oh, the reflection in the Lego cases. It's weird, like every time a new comment comes through, I have to refresh the browser, which is kind of weird, which makes it challenging if I were to be doing this while I was sculpting. Have to get like some sort of stick that I can just poke the keyboard without actually touching the keyboard. I'm just going to go all the way around the buttons since I'm scraping the buttons off anyway with an X-Acto blade. If I get a little bit of paint on there, it's not going to be a big deal. And again with a... see if I can see it this way. Hang on just a second. Bear with me. I'm still trying to figure out why the comments. Ah, yes, indeed. And thank you for the share, Russ. Anything exciting happening this evening at your homestead? Should be using a bigger brush to make this go by a little quicker, especially for this shirt area. The shirt is so not the fun part to paint. I always prefer painting the area that has like more texture to it, so you can quickly see all of it really, the forms start to come to life. Hang on just a second. Oh, crazy. You were seeing the, how are you seeing those in the feed and I'm not seeing those in the feed? Seeing the comments like overlaid on top of it. Explain that to me. What are you watching it on your phone? I do not see that at all. Gonna go a little gentler over here so I'm not getting too much into the fur of the beastie. So I haven't really figured out the name of the species, much about the species at all yet, except that he travels the trade routes. But it is time to start working some other colors in, start building up this a little bit. I'm going to grab some dark skin color, again with the Reaper Miniatures Bones paints. And once I pull out a color and that I know that I'm using it on a piece, I tend to keep it all in a row so that if I have to stop painting it partway through the evening or through the session, I have it as I can go back to it or I can take a photograph of it. It totally makes it a lot easier. Again, still with the not... Try clicking the video and make it full screen. Ah, thank you. But now I have to figure out how to mute that. Hang on. And let's see about making that full screen. And then now will somebody comment? And blend some of this in just a little bit. Now that we're starting to get some layering going on, it's going to start getting a little thicker and richer. You're now watching a live video. I heard a little ding, but I'm not seeing the messages popping up. Let's see, give it another go. Let's see if... Sorry about all of the delays with this. I did not see the dude. Let's see. Nope, still not seeing the comments popping up. Should not be that hard for me to get that going. Maybe it'll start showing up here, I don't know. Take a look back in a minute and see if anything new is populated. Carrie, you want to do another dude? I don't think it was that I just didn't wait long enough for the timeline to pop through. All right, so just gonna keep blending these colors in a little bit. I'll bring some more of this darker brown up underneath where I've got some of the shadows a little bit in the fabric. And we'll just keep blending this all in. Turn the sky towards you guys a little bit better. If at any point I ever turn it and I'm not paying attention enough, and you want it aimed at you, just let me know in the comments if I see the comments. Okay. Oh. All right, I need more of the aged bone. Again, just gonna try and blend this in just a little bit. Keep blending and working those colors in together. No, I did not see that second dude until just now. Oh well. I'm just going to have to keep refreshing it, I guess, at the moment. Seems like a lot of extra work to interact with folks, so I don't know. There's got to be... I'll need to check with some folks that know better than me the Facebook live streaming, especially when using something like the open broadcast software that I'm using to stream it through. I don't know if that causes weird hiccups or anything like that. I'm just gonna keep blending this stuff together. Oh. Facebook live streaming. Let's see if I can mute this. Something like that. Sorry about that. All right, now, Carrie, if you would comment one more time, maybe this time I will see it. Then maybe ping me with a text after you've done it. That way I know for sure, faux show, that it's happened. All right, starting to thicken these up a little bit. So the goal of this guy is to get him done, completely painted, story written, plaque made, so that I can take him with me next Thursday when I adventure and head to Spectrum Fantastic Art Live in Kansas City. So I've got to make some good progress on the paint tonight. Oh, was that the third dude? Did you just do that? I think maybe you have to mix it up so I don't get too confused. But hooray, if that is the truth. If so, then I think I finally figured out where my failings were. All right, I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush. This is a number 2 round Golden Taklon Treckel brush. I'm just going to come up into little areas where it's coming up against the furry parts of this beastie. I'm just going to work some of this in, just a slightly gentler touch. Just kind of blend that in just a little bit. Just make sure that I'm not overlapping too much. And I'm just going to keep blend this in just a little bit more. Ooh, his shirt is so creamy and fancy. All right. Got a little bit down in here, just got to blend that out. All right, I'm going to turn him a little bit. Let's bring some of this darker brown up into here. Bring some into this crevasse. A little bit up in here. Just going to blend it all together a little bit. Grab some more of the, what was that color? That was the aged bone. Just going to blend this all in. Keep working that. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And a little bit more. Let that all blend together. Nice happy shirt. And all right, so I did not see any more comments, so that is okay. Mute that. It duplicated your comment? No, I'm so not seeing the comments unless I close it out and then reopen it. It's kind of BS. You would think that I would see the comments as they load. Let's see. Like if the video's in there, maybe if I switch it to me, if I'm commenting as me as opposed to my art page, maybe I'll start to see the comments coming in. I'm just going to come up here and try and get this collar a little bit cleaner up here for just a minute. We'll blend it all in. But if I just have to click everything every couple of minutes, it's not a big deal. Just messes with the flow. I don't see the duplicates on your side. He's totally wearing the Jerry Seinfeld puffy shirt. I'm glad you caught the reference. These shirts always seem to, like, especially in like high school and going to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, it always seemed like this was the style of shirt to have. Though I don't think I ever had one of the really puffy ones like this. All the stuff I had was far more outlandish than this. You say, what? More outlandish than that? Alright, gonna grab another little more bit of the brown, blend this in a little bit more over here. Oh, sorry about my head being in the way. Alright, now I'm gonna grab this aged bone. I'm gonna tilt him this way a little bit so that I can actually, let's spin him all the way around. And look, there's chunks that are missing there. That's all got to get filled in. Let's see. It's crazy that every time I click for more, I've got to remute it again. No mirror setup. And I'm not seeing that, which is crazy. You people in your future tech. What browser are you looking at it in? Just gotta come back here and get some more of this. Now some of the stuff on the back is going to get sanded out, so get this nice and flat once it comes time. All right, I'm going to dip my brushes in, smack them around in the water a good bit, get a lot of that paint out, get most of that out on my apron. While I'm doing that, it's time to put down some more aged bone. It's also time to put down some more dark skin. And then, let's see, we're going to make sure all the moisture is out of my brushes. And we're going to tilt this guy this way just a bit. Grab a little bit of this bone. Coming along the top line here. Ooh. Bristles on this one's starting to get a little raggedy as well. It's time after this upcoming convention. Hopefully I'll make some of the money and it will be time to buy some more brushes. I'm just going to follow it all the way around. Grab a little bit of this brown and do it back behind this collar. And swishy, swishy. And I'm going to pull this brown and blend it in. I'll grab the thicker brush to really blend it in a second. I want to get back behind here just a little bit more. Just try and get, sorry about the noggin in there, I just kind of have to see where I'm painting right there. And let's see. And let's try and get Facebook on your app on your phone. Yeah, I saw the screen grab. That's totally got to be the phone app, because I'm not seeing it on the webcasted version at all. It's crazy. Oh, I mean, my phone's about out of power, but I could try and see if I could see it. Hang on, stand by for just a second. Let's see if I can see it here and see the comments come up. Oh. For just a second. Let's see if I... Okay. Let's turn the volume down. All right, so if I'm looking at this, no, dude. All right, so I can see stuff here. So let's see if I totally drain the battery. All right, and sorry about this as I'm getting this all squared away. All right, now I'm gonna grab a little bit more of this here. We'll just pull this in. All right, now we got to get nice and under here a whole lot. We got to get all up under this arc a little bit. So I'm just going to keep painting along here. All right, well, thanks everybody that's watching and for commenting. At some point I'm going to have to grab my charger for my phone so that now that I'm actually seeing the comments live on my phone, since it wasn't really working in the web app, maybe I'll have to try a different browser other than Chrome and see what happens. But as we're painting, if anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We're just painting the backside and underside of this new creature's fluffy, puffy shirt. Just going to get some base coats down here. And I've got to figure out the story to go along with him before I leave on Thursday. As I've started printing up plaques, like little story plaques, to be positioned next to each one on my trade show walls for the conventions that I'm doing, which I think is going to add a lot of richness to the experience when you're coming and seeing my stuff on the walls. I think it's going to give people a much better sense of the world of Revelo that I'm slowly building. All right, I think I've got enough under there to at least get things going a little bit. We're going to spin this back around. And I think I'd like to let that start to set up so that we can start getting in on some of the texture of the creature now, because I think that's going to be a lot more exciting than doing this fluffy shirt. So let me rinse off my brushes. I'm also going to go ahead and grab my phone charger so that I can plug my phone in and let this happen so I can see the comments on my phone while we're going. So stand by for just a sec. Oh, actually, it's in my drawer. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. All right, stand by and I'll plug this right in. Sorry for the reach and the intrusion. Anybody doing anything exciting this evening? Okay, this is a new plug on the side of my machine that I'm not quite used to yet. There we go. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, there we go. Thank you very much for your patience as I did that. So now, I was thinking with this one that I kind of really wanted to have this one be more of a reddish tinted color, this creature, because I don't have a lot of red pieces that are going to be with me, and since I haven't really thought much about the species of this guy yet, I didn't think it was a big deal to, the colors aren't, the colors don't necessarily need to pertain to the region since this guy is more of a wanderer. So I'm going to start by putting down some Reaper Miniature Redstone. Squirt! If anybody is watching that has not liked my art page and you want to be up to date on when I do live streams, please jump in and do that sometime along the way. I also am putting down some Bloodstain Red, which is one of the browner of the reds, but it's such a pretty rich red. So we're going to do, let's see, I'm going to start with that specific, that Bloodstain Red, and I'm going to go ahead and start up in the face area just a little bit, up in the top area where it's a little more well lit, so you can start to see that, so that you can start to see the colors being laid down over top of it. Russ or Carrie, if you were still there, if you wouldn't mind throwing a little comment in just so I can see it on my phone to make sure that it is still jamming along okay. Or anybody else that would like to, that would be swell also. So I'm quickly going to just take this Bloodstone Red and just drag it across. And because I've got the creases and the cracks in there from what I sculpted, it's going to easily let the darkness of that show through. And we're going to start to get some texture pretty quick. It's one of the benefits of putting a lot of work in on the sculpting side. The painting goes a lot faster. And I knew this would be a much funner, like once you start painting the fur and stuff. Hey, it's like I'm talking to myself in here. Thank you, Carrie, for that. Beetlejuice, please stop scratching up the chair. Probably see Beetlejuice in a minute because he is hanging out in the office this evening while we paint. And it's not a big deal if I get some of the paint on the eye. The eye's going to get scraped down with an X-Acto after the fact. Ooh, that's a bit of a smudge though right there. I'll fix up that shirt in just a minute. But since we've got this red on here, let's keep going. I'm really, the red right now is going to get soaked up a lot. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up coming through. That was pretty neat seeing that. It was like it was all floating in space. So these, the red, the black, since it's spray painted and primed with the black, it really starts to soak up the color and absorb it. So if you want to have like brighter, punchier colors, you've got to do a couple of coats. A lot of times I like it a little more muted, and I'll just kind of build up in the highlight areas. But for now, we're just putting down some foundations and seeing where this creature is going to go. And I'll have to turn them around a bit. And let's see. Let's get up under this. And slide some of this way. Alright. Just going to keep working this red in. And I think we can go ahead and start. Let's see what happens when I start putting a little bit of this brown in. It might not even be that noticeable at this point. Yeah, it's not. So I'm just going to keep putting this red, this Bloodstain Red foundation color down, and we'll just keep jamming along with that. And then after that's all laid down, then we'll bring in probably another layer of the bloodstain, but we'll probably bring in a lighter color to add some more highlights and start adding some more variation in depth and color. But painting these are some of the most, because most of it I don't really think about too much. It's all, since I've painted so many pieces like this, I just kind of let myself go and and do it. It's very nice and relaxing and calming. Except for when I make big smudges here and here. So not cool. Alright, I'm going to spin that guy. Might as well go ahead and put a lot more of the bloodstained red down on the palette. Also, if anybody that's watching wants to sign up for my newsletter that I send out about once a month, you can do that on the Brian Colin Facebook fan page. I usually send out stuff about the shows that I'm attending, if I've got anything special going on. Try not to overdo it. I think the next one I'm going to send out is going to be next week, right before heading out to Kansas City, heading to Spectrum. Also, like, when new things are happening that aren't necessarily... sometimes it's hard to catch all that stuff on social media. So that's always the number one spot to get info. Hey, Carrie, is Jason on Facebook heckling anybody? Alright, gonna keep jamming on this one. Gonna put some of that red inside the ear cavity. Gonna try and make sure I get almost all this, just at least the base layer done. Starting to look a little devilish in the colors, which is nice. And I'm just gonna... I like going with the bristles the opposite way of the direction of the fur most of the time. It beats the hell out of the brushes, but it gets it covered pretty well, and not too much of it sinks into the creases and cracks. Right, sometimes when I turn these, it makes the camera angle be all wonky-donky. Let's see. Just gonna come up behind this ear, and then we're gonna have to figure out the colors that we want the horns to be. I think for now we'll probably mainly focus on getting more fur color done and get that squared away first thing. Then we'll have to revisit the shirt because I just wanted to get some of that cream colored foundation, some of the khaki color in the fantasy setting of Revelo. Alright, gonna tilt this head down. One of the nice things about doing small pieces like this, well, smaller compared to some of the larger pieces I do, I can manhand them like this and move them all around. It's not a big deal to twist them all around. It doesn't take a lot of work, and the camera can still primarily stay in the same angle. Alright. I need some more of that bloodstained red. And squirt, come on. Alright, this one's starting to get a little clogged up. I'm going to rinse out my brush for just a second. And where did I put that? I just had a paper clip, because you can take a paper clip, undo it, and jam it down inside of these paint bottles. If they start to get a little clogged, I'm just going to pop the top off of that. I'm just going to dump a bunch of this out onto my palette, because I know I'm going to use a fair amount. Now that I've got a little excess around the rim, I will wipe that with my brush. Right. And let's see. Tilting it back one time, let's see. And I'm going to tilt this down, back at me. So I should put the lid back on this. And grab this. Alright. Just going to put some more of the bloodstained red coming down the face. And the nose will be a different color. The teeth will probably look very similar to the coloration of the shirt, most likely, just to bring that color together and tie it all in a little bit. And the eye has been gouged out. Haven't quite decided from what yet. Don't know if it was by some dastardly creature, if perhaps this guy lost it in some sort of wager. If he needed to gouge his own eye out to use it for an incantation, I don't know. But with the music, it makes it feel like it should be something epic. Or dark and gloomy and daunting. It just depends on the tunage. Alright, so now I'm going to make sure I got... Sometimes the lighting and the angles, it makes it a little hard to tell exactly, but you want to make sure you cover everything up with paint. You don't want to leave any holes. You want to get it all squared away. So I'm just going to come back and get some of this in here, and get inside the ear a little bit more. And again, this is just the foundation, because this is going to need a lot more color, because it's really, although the colors are looking good, it's absorbing a lot of the saturation of the color. So we're going to want to do this. I've got one of the other colors out that I like a lot when I'm using reds is Brains Pink, so we're going to work with that in a few minutes to start bringing some of that in for some of the highlights, unless it starts getting a little too pink, which it might, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, I'm going to tilt this guy up just a little bit, bring it under here, make sure I get all up under his nose, and we're going to have to do some colors on the lips as well, because those lips I don't want to have just that red fur color. Definitely need to be a little bit different there. I know there's a crazy ass delay with the video streaming and the real time. So if anybody has questions and if I'm slow on it, I do apologize. Alright. While that is still a little wet, let's grab some of this, and I'm going to pull some of this in here real quick. Grab some of this brown, let's just blend it in and try and work that in, since I accidentally smeared the color on top of it. And there we go. Fix that up pretty good. Let's see if I can fix up these other areas that I accidentally dinged with the red. Alright. Now I'm going to give this a drink of water real quick. Excuse me for just a second. Alright, just wanted to make sure that everything still seems to be coming through my telephony. Alright, so we've got some of this blood-stained red down on top of it, and now I'm going to get some Brains Pink on my palette. We're going to start adding some highlights. We're going to put some more of the blood-stained red down. The palette that I use is just a piece of plexiglass, clear plexiglass, or what was once clear and is now completely covered in the paint stains, but that seems to work pretty well for me. Okay, I'm gonna try and get all that color out, get most of that moisture out of the brush. Okay, thanks, Carrie. I will see you in a little bit. Thank you for letting me know about so that I could see the comments. I do appreciate it. I think this is the way to go moving forward. So enjoy the evening. I will see you in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Roundabouts. All right, I'm going to work some of this Brains Pink in, and then I'm going to come back with some of the red that we had. I'm just going to see what happens when I blend those together a little bit. And then I'm going to bring some of that into the tips of this fur, and it's quickly going, the lighter color is going to jump out against that darker color, but this is going to start working all this paint out and then continue dry brushing to bring it all together. So start getting some of the highlights pretty quickly. Excellent. Let's see. Let's find a brush that is not so beat up. See this brush right here? You can see the bristles are all over the place. Let's save that for some more of the fast, heavy brush work. now that I'm coming in and trying to put a little more definition in, I'm going to get same brush, number 4 Golden Tack-On Trichello brush. Going to do the same one. This one just is a little bit fresher. I like that now that some color is getting on this guy. Really starting to see more of his personality. Definitely way more so than what was happening just with the original sculpture. And I know when I prime them black, it's really hard for most folks to envision them or see what their potential is. Hello, Beetlejuice. Do not step on the keyboard, my friend. Alright, so now we've got that going on. Yes, we should watch that. Beetlejuice, keep your face out of my water, please. Stay out of the water. Gonna put a little more of just the brains pink down here with a little bit of the red and just kind of blend this up a little bit more. And there we go. Just wanted to have it kind of be more of a gradual fade as it goes in. Put a little bit around where the horns come out. Oh, and that yes was for you, Carrie. Yes, save it. That sounds good. And then I'm going to take some of that brains pink, do just little teeny tiny details right up around the eye. Just going to do some light color right here. Blend it out just a little bit. And let's go ahead and bring some down into the tip of this ear so I can work it out of the brush, because then I want to be able to work some back out of the eye. That was a little too much right here. Need to come back in with some of the red. And grabbing a little of this red, just going to keep blending this in. All right, so he's starting to get a little more depth to him. You can start to see a little bit more about what this creature is like now that we're quickly getting some color on him. He definitely has a little bit of a dastardly piratey type feel to him. All right, I'm gonna spin him a little bit so I can get in on this bottom lip. Try and get this a little bit clean and smooth. Sorry about my head being in the way. Sometimes that's just how it's going to have to be. And a little bit of the red. Come back in. And come on. All right. The painting part is totally the fastest step in the process of when I make these creatures. Because once all the sculpting is done, it should be pretty easy to get all this stuff knocked out. Like, it would not surprise me at all if the painting of this is done before the 11:30 session is over. But then we could run into complications. I could change my mind on colors. Certain areas could take a little bit more time than I anticipate, but just good, because I prefer to do my writing on these guys like first thing in the morning before I've had anything else like flux like come into my brain at all. So like if I get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, I sit down and I can start writing out. Like most of the stories that I create about these guys are just a couple of paragraphs just to get the basic concept down about who they are and what they've done. It's not like a super long chapter or anything, but it's enough to tell the flavor of them and get an idea about their species to then develop further as the world setting continues to build out. So, but now that I've got some really solid photography on some of my newer pieces, and I'll need to have good photos taken of this guy before we go. Before taking him off to Kansas City, there will definitely be a book that I'm going to put together at the end of the year that will hopefully launch in January for a crowdfunding campaign. Which I'm very excited about. I'm thinking about doing like a third person, like aside from just being factual information about the species and the land and all that stuff, but then also doing like a third person perspective, like some dastardly hunter that has traveled to Revelo and is his field notes from being in the land. All right, I'm gonna spin this guy again just to look at him from the other side and get a feel for how this coloration is coming, to make sure I don't mess it up and make it too much different on the other side. If anybody has any questions along the way about creatures, the world, painting process, the sculpting process, please don't hesitate to ask, or anything else for that matter. Also, if you want to be notified about when I'm going to be live streaming on Facebook, like my art page, because that should notify you a little bit faster. Just in case I forget to tag myself in it. So that would probably be a little bit foolish. Alright, so let's tilt this guy in towards you guys a little bit. So I'm just putting some lighter color up along the top to give a little bit of a highlight, like along the ridge of the nose. Pull some of this down just a little bit. So it's weird since this is only like the second time I've done Facebook Live. I don't know what the standard practice is for engaging people, and chatting with folks. I know in Twitch when there's people lurking and stuff, you don't really want to call them out. You just want to let them lurk and hang out. But since most of the folks that watch are my friends on here, is it weird for me to be like, hey, so-and-so, what's happening? I don't know. All right, we need more bloodstained red on the palette. Squirt. Again, for anybody that's tuning in just since in the recent time frame since I started, I'm using Reaper Miniature Bones paints for almost all of the paint, well, all the paint on this one so far. So that is what I've got going on here. I'm putting bloodstained red. One of my favorite things about these paints are that the opacity, they go on real thick, they dry super fast, and they've got some pretty fun names. Bloodstained red, all the different bone, aged bone, the ghoul colors. They're all pretty fun naming conventions. So I've got it up close, and then it's all shadowed, and then I tilt it back, and the light's hitting it, and I'm like, well, maybe that's a little red. I'm going to blend that in just a little bit more into where his eye's been gouged out. All right, time to bring some of this brains pink up into around here. Let's see if I can bring this guy a little bit closer and twist it about. Hello, Beetlejuice. You can come back up here. How are you knocking down? Beetlejuice, our cat Beetlejuice, is the clumsiest cat I have ever met. I love him dearly. He is so sweet. But damn is he clumsy. Alright, I'm going to blend this in. I'm going to put a little along that mohawk ridge. Have that light fade down to the deeper bloodstained red. And just going to blend that all up. So anybody have anything exciting happening this week? Tomorrow, tomorrow evening at the Carrollton Artists Guild meeting, I'm giving a talk on crowdfunding creativity. Should be awesome if there's any artists that are close by that would like to come and hear me talk about one failed Kickstarter campaign and one successful one. I'm going to talk about what I've learned throughout the process, some best practices that I've picked up from listening to a bunch of other folks talk about what they've done, and talk about how I think it can work for different creative types and ways that they can not only make money but also grow their audience. It starts at 6:30 and runs till 8. Hey, Mark, thanks, man. How are you doing, Plumber? It has been forever and forever. I saw that you took the kids to their first concert. I'm sorry that I'm terrible about commenting. I'm such a lurker when it comes to the interwebs. I lurk, I see what goes on, I catalog it in my brain, and that's about as far as it goes. Every time I feel like I've got the, like I'm gonna say something, then I don't. So I think this guy's starting to come together pretty well. I like the personality he's got. He's feeling very gentle, but then at the same time, you turn him around, the side that's going to be facing the wall, and he's got that eye that's been gouged out. Something a little more sinister going on. I'm going to keep blending this stuff down just a little bit. The delay of the voice of me then coming and seeing the chat is such a strange beast to try and figure out how to tackle. All right. And so this is coming in. Gotta put a little more of the highlight up around here, around the head. Put a little more here. And Plumber, thank you for tuning in. It's awesome that you're in here checking things out. And a little bit more here. Gonna pull some of this down. Just put a little more highlight into that eyebrow just a bit. Come here, Beetlejuice. I'm not letting you out of the room now. It's too late. You're in here. All right, so now we've made a lot of progress so far in the first hour of painting. First started out by putting down some foundation colors on the pillowy, fluffy, piratey shirt, and started putting down some colors onto the head of this character. I still haven't figured out the name of his species or the name of him yet. Nope, but I'm sure that will come as the painting session progresses. Before I get in and start doing a little more painting on this guy, I'm going to, let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit more on him. I don't know, I may have maxed out my zoom capacity. There we go. See, maybe this will get the details a little bit better. I'm going to go in. I got a little bit of paint buildup on the eye, which is not a big deal, but sometimes when they're looking at me, I want to scrape the eye just a little bit, just to have a cleaner vision of what they're seeing. I can peer into their souls. All right, I'll put a little bit of water in here just to clean up the eye just a little bit more. Pull the moisture off the brush, and once I'm done, I'll completely scrape that down with an X-Acto, and then also wipe it down with a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol, and that'll really get it nice and cleaned up. All right, so I've got a good foundation, I think, going on there, and I think now that I'm starting to get all the base coats down, I'm going to do the base coat in the nose and the horns so that we can then start to put all the additional layers on top of it, so it'll start to feel a little more unified as a one whole cohesive piece. I don't want to start putting colors down, like finish all the fur, then do the horns, and then feel like they're disjointed. So, actually, before I do any of that, I'm going to grab back my number 2 round golden Taklon Trekell brush and get somewhere on my palette. Where have you gone? Not the brains pink. let's see, there is a little bit of the aged bone that is still left. I'm going to grab some of that. Hey, thanks, Lacey. How are you doing this evening? And thank you for tuning in. Hope all is well with you and the fam. So the teeth, especially on the spray painted black, always take a couple of coats because you really start to see some of like the brush strokes coming through as soon as the paint starts to set up. So I tend to do a couple layers of color, and then I always come back in with like a wash on the teeth, because no matter what I do, all the little like creases that I put in while I was sculpting it always seem to fill in on the painting. So, all right, gonna pull this up just a little bit more. I know Beetlejuice. Sorry if you hear my cat crying in the background. He came in and he joined us, and now I think he wants to leave. But he will stay with us this evening. Okay, gonna do this other tooth, then we'll come back and get another little color, and we'll mix a different color into it. Let's see, so I think I want the bones to have a little bit more of a grayish color going on to them. So I think with that, I'll go ahead and grab like a slightly bluish grayish color, and we might work some of that into the teeth, or we may work some. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with my head. The tangent in my head disappeared from my brain. All right, I'm going to instead. I'd also put down another color that we started to work with, which was a redstone. I'm going to work that into the teeth. I'm going to work that on the base and work it up. And I just realized I can give thumbs up on comments while I'm reading the comments on my phone. Bear with me as the Facebook Live is a newer beast to all the different magical technologies that are out there to me. All right, I'm going to put a little bit more of my aged bone down on my palette. I'm not going to put a lot because I don't think we're going to use a whole lot more in that. We'll probably build some more up on the shirt, but I think I'll probably bring some slight blues into the shirt to give some more shadows. Pardon my head. Let's see, turn this towards y'all a little bit. Just gonna keep blending this up. I'm like, the more I look at this guy, the more I feel like he's definitely has a history with Bohum, which is one of the goblins in my world that kind of helped get the goblins out of the Valley of Despair and establish their trading route. So I think this guy is going to have played an important role in the history of some of the societies within Revelo. Perhaps, maybe there is a reason their heads have been severed aside from just hunting. Perhaps for some sort of magical reasons they have been preserved. It's an easier story to tell when you're talking to people at a convention, when it's not like you're just some weird, crazy big game hunter that's chopped the heads off of all these characters that have personalities. Alright, I'm going to keep blending some more of that bone down on top of it. Alright, I'm going to let the teeth set up a little bit, because I think I'm going to overwork them if I keep jumping into them. And so now, let's start thinking about the colors of the horns, the antler type things. Actually, before I do that, I see that this right here needs a little bit of attention, because I've got like the highlight right at the top, and it's not really blended into that. So let me grab just a little bit of the brains pink and blend this down in here. And blend that just a little bit. So some of this like dry brushing, where I get a little bit of the color just on the very tip of the brush and start smacking it and working it all the way in. You get a little bit on one end and just kind of work it around, and then just work it down. The color will fade on its own as you beat the color down into the piece, because it's going to run out of paint. It's just going to kind of stretch itself out. All right, gonna grab just a little bit more. Hey everybody, just thank you all for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate it. I was hesitant and not sure about streaming live on Facebook because I've been streaming live on Twitch since like end of September, beginning of October. Usually about 3 times a week, sometimes a little less, depending on how busy my week is. And I honestly don't get a lot of engagement on it. So I wanted to try. Yes, it's totally the same kind of paint used for miniatures. I get all my paint from Reaper Mini, because I supported one of their Kickstarters, like their first Bones Kickstarter years ago. And then I had all this paint laying around, and I decided to, hey Nelson, thank you. I had a bunch of that paint laying around that I hadn't used yet, so I decided to see what it would be like on my larger sculptures, and I freaking love it. So, like, if you look behind me, if you look behind him, there's a wall of paint up there, but then I also have, like, a giant thing of paint here. Oh, no, that's not. Maybe you'll be able to see the reflection. I don't want to tilt it all down. But in the small camera window, there's my big arrangement of colors. I love the Reaper paints. And I haven't really tried any other miniature paints, just because I found they work really well. I'm really happy with them. I had too much water on my brush. Sometimes, if you have water on the brush, it doesn't allow for the dry brushing as well. All right, I'm going to spin this guy. I'm going to put some more highlights on the back of these ears. And just bring this up. Oh, so I was saying, I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in, because I think if the engagement stays higher on Facebook, I will continue streaming here as opposed to Twitch, and then I will just post my videos up to YouTube after the fact, just in case folks miss them. I want to go back and see them. I'd almost gotten the second part of this sculpting up on YouTube, and I realized the privacy settings were not set to display to anybody, but I will get that changed after tonight's stream. So right now, my normal stream schedule is Mondays and Saturdays from 9:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. and then Wednesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. I like taking a little break in the middle of the work week to make with some of the art. Makes the rest of the week a little more manageable. Excellent. Well, hopefully sometime they'll get to see some. And I totally understand. That's why I wait to stream until after the kids are in bed. Except on Saturdays, Wyatt's usually still up at 9:30 when I start streaming. For all the people that shared the video, I just got a notification that 4 folks have shared it. Thank you very much. I do indeed appreciate that. So the more people that see the crazy weird stuff that's coming out of my head, the better. All right, so I want to do some more highlights on the eye, just a little bit. I know I said I was going to go in and start putting some other color in, but then I started doing a little bit here. Every now and again, I'll get distracted and just keep jamming on some of the colors that I have on my palette and keep working some stuff in. So we're going to put a little bit more of this down for now. The brain's pink. Some more highlight around the edge of his eyeball area. Put a little bit more in here. All right, gonna do just a little bit more, and then for real this time, I'm really going to go in and get some other colors, and we'll start putting some color down on the horns. A little bit here. There we go. All right, let's spin this guy around and shake this out. All right, so colors for the nose and the antler colors, horn colors, antlers, horns. I always call them both the same. Love the skin, looks a little too greenish. There is okay, this is an aircraft gray. Yes, and also there's a little bit of labyrinth. Thinking of that a little bit in the background as well, Lacey. All right, so I'm thinking about that, but I also want to go a slightly darker tinge. So let's go with let's see how shadowed stone and then aircraft gray highlights go on top of that. When you're working with these miniature paints, the Reaper mini paints, I like to shake them up pretty good just to make sure if there's been any separation, especially when you have a ridiculous amount of colors like I do. If there's been any sort of separation, they all start to get mixed back together well. Okay, I'm going to start with the darker color for the shadowed gray, shadowed stone. Like I said, they've got really great names for the paints. It totally makes the sculpting seem so much, or the creature sound so much more epic when you're working with fancy named colors like that. Okay, so, and also one of the things about this color, it's very thick, which is nice. So I'm getting to just kind of lay on a quick coating over top of this. And because I did a texture into the horns while I was sculpting, just doing a light brush over top of it, you don't want to have so much paint that it just kind of soaks in, because you want that negative space, those cracks, to just stay with that black. You want it to stay with the primed color, with that black primed color, so that you don't have to go back in and do all the work of going back in and trying to fill that in. Even with a black wash color going in. Thank you, Nelson. So trying to leave that there and just do a light coating over top. And I'll even let this set up a little bit before we bring the highlight color in and do some dry brushing on top of that. Most likely what I'll do with that is I'll take the lighter color and work it from the tip up, so it has a little bit of a gradation from the horn coming down. Something about this one totally has so much personality so far. I'm really pleased with the smile and smirk, and everything seems to be coming together pretty well for this guy. And he's changed a little bit since the original concept drawing. Let's see if I can pop that up on the... No, that's not it. Not the coming soon. Oh, that must have disappeared. Okay, I had the original concept drawing up while I was sculpting him, so that folks could see it. He did have an eye patch originally. He also had a necklace holding like a lucky claw, almost like a rabbit's foot, but a claw of another beast. But I felt like it was too much, and I was thinking about doing that and introducing other elements, like actually using fabric for the eye patch, and like a cord, like a twine for the rope that would hold the necklace. And with Spectrum coming up, having to leave for that next Thursday, I wanted to make sure I gave it enough time to really do it justice. I still have some other stuff to get ready for that convention. Like I've got to get a bunch of other elements and items that aren't just big sculptures that I'll need at my table and logistically from my trade show walls and things like that I need to get done before that show starts. So I didn't want to rush it and do a crappy job of it. Okay, sorry I'm having to hold this at a weird angle. Let's see. Just trying to make sure I don't miss anything and leave any spots unpainted. think I'm going to take the same color and work it into... What? I thought I turned off the... I did not turn off the autofocus. You jerk. There we go. That'll be better. All right, no more autofocusing. I'm going to take the same gray color and work this into the nose. I like to make sure that when I'm using colors throughout the pieces, I tend to have them in more than just one space so that it feels like it belongs. Because if you just have it in one spot, it's gonna feel out of place in ways. So I'm just gonna quickly drop some of this on as well so that it keeps some of the nose texture that was sculpted into it. I'm going to bring this back around. All right, so right now we already have a good foundation for that base nose. I'm going to see how that color soaks in, see if it dries into the black a lot. All right. Okay, now while that is setting up, did I already squirt down? No, I did not squirt down the lighter blue, which is good because I'm not ready for that. I want this to set up just a little bit more. And while that's happening, it's time to come back and put some more colors into this shirt. So it's really plain, really not really awesome yet, the colors of the shirt. It's got a good foundation, but has a long way to go. And where do I want to take this magical bus ride? Let's see. I don't want to put more of the aged bone on it. I'll keep it out just in case we need to go back to it. But, so I know that I'm going to put this aircraft gray, which is a kind of light bluish color. Since I know I'm going to put that into here, I think I'll work that in a little bit into the highlights of the shirt, and then I'll work a Nightmare Black, which is really like a bluish black color, into the shadowy areas. So I need to grab that off of my shelf. I'm trying to peer the Nightmare Black now. Oh, don't step on the keyboard, Beetlejuice. No, that is not where you go. Stand by for a second. Please pardon this interruption. Okay. You, sir, do not need to step on the keyboard. All right. Hang tight, Beetlejuice. I'm going to grab some Nightmare Black off of here. Nightmare Black is one of my favorite colors to use. I use it in almost every sculpture. All right. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to put some Nightmare Black down. Hey, thank you for the thumbs up. I know. Things are about to go really, really wrong. And then, let's see. We've got Nightmare Black. We've got the aircraft gray. Gonna drop this down. Oh no! Don't tell me I'm almost out of the aircraft gray, I do believe. Need to make a list of the paints that I love that I get close to running out of. So I don't want to run out of this. Now pull some of that up on my brush. It's one of the nice things about always wearing an apron while I sculpt and paint. I have somewhere to put all the mess that would normally just fall down on me. Okay, I've got a little bit of this aircraft gray on my brush, so I'm going to go ahead and see what happens when I start to put it down on top of a collar. See, that's one of the things that I like the least about painting fabric, is that I can't do the like super quick, awesome details with the texture, with the sculpting, that make it super easy to paint. So it's always harder to paint. For me, it's always harder to paint the fabric than it is to paint like fur or scales or something like that. Alright, so I'm gonna, see, this Nightmare Black is super blue. And that totally just ran right into that. Let's see what happens when I bring some of this in. Alright. The shirt is taking a turn for a completely different color, and sometimes that's just how things go. I think part of it is that brush is so sprawled out this way, so fanned out from from so much dry brushing. What? Need to grab a different brush. All right, here we go. We are going to be using more aged bone on the palette because we're going to be blending a lot of this in together. All right. I'm just going to pull this over top. I'm just going to gently work it all in together. And it's going to work out awesome. His shirt was meant to be blue. But the blue is a color of fancy berries that he had to pay a lot for to get his shirt dyed this color. They do look like mountain-dwelling folk. Well, so there are the perilous peaks, and there is the icy divide in my world of Revelo, Nelson. So it's possible. You've got to beat the devil out of that brush. So it's possible that earlier I was talking about another character, Bohum the Groblin, and he helped develop a trade route out of the Valley of Despair for his people, and that actually tunneled through underneath the valley, or underneath the Forest of the Dead, but it actually went into a certain area that was near the Perilous Peaks, so it could be that Bohum and this character met each other doing the trade route around the mountain area. Yes, it's weird. It's crazy how the time delay on this thing is. Yeah, so this guy's definitely got some sort of trade route or smuggling thing going on for him. Where did you go, my friend, the paint? Okay, here we go. Okay, so totally dig the blue color that's coming in here now. I think this is totally gonna work, and it's gonna be a nice, richer. And I've recently updated the map. I redrew it just in the past couple of days because I had to get a new banner made for the convention I'm about to head to, and I wanted to have a much nicer map so that like when people first come to like my booth, they'll be able to see the map with all the locations. Then they'll go and they'll read the story next to the character where it talks about the location. It is all coming together. It is all coming together. And for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, if you go to briancolin.com and then go to Revelo as one of the links, from there there's a drop-down. One says creatures and one will say map, maybe? I need to reorganize the overall structure. I also have it on my plans to build out worldofrevelo.com within the next before this year is up, and have that change up a little bit from my site and have that more of just a fully branded world building site. So many things to do. If I didn't have a day job, I would still come up with too many things to do. I think that's just my personality type, though. Boom. I just fired off a whole lot of thumbs ups. And gonna come in and put a little more down around here. And it's not a huge deal if I paint over top of this little gem jewel button thing, because I will scrape all that down a little bit with the X-Acto once it's all done. There's a few areas in my world that I haven't developed much out for. I have like one creature, I think, for the Badlands. I don't really have anything for the Salty Mouth. I've got one or two for the Marsh. I've got one created for the where? For the Depths Unknown. Awesome, thank you. I can easily cheat with the map because I have the map right behind right behind my desk. I like to look at it regularly and fade off into my imagination while I'm working. It's the old version of the map, though, not the pretty new version. And the new one still needs a little more work. Excellent. Yes, I can totally see the Civil Warish, especially with that little bit of the faded bit and then the coin or the button things. Where did you go, blue? Yeah, I'm definitely digging the color so much more now. But that's why you put down base colors and you see where the paint takes you. Like, I don't usually ever have a whole lot planned out for colors while I'm working on this. I just kind of I grabbed some reds when I was first starting because I wanted to have some colors down at the table so I wasn't just standing up right away to grab colors. But and you know when I earlier, I don't know if you were in here then, but I was talking about, I was saying he was a bit of a smuggler, a bit of a scoundrel. I was, he might have that good swarthy type of Han Solo type characteristics in his storyline, because it's nice to have some good mixed in with that kind of not so lawful of a character. Oh, and sometimes you get a little too much paint when you're getting too excited about things, and you got to go back in and touch it all up. Let's see. Let's get this fixed. I just got a little bit more of the light color there that I didn't want. That's okay. An easy fix. Or as one might say, happy accidents. Right, gonna pull some of that in. Okay. Yeah, I think that part of the shirt is definitely starting to come together. I'm gonna have to put some more of the Nightmare Black down around where the fur hits the collar. So I'm gonna do. Whoop, I'm gonna dip my paintbrush into my drinking water. Nobody wants that. All right, I'm gonna rinse that out. Get splashed in the face by my own water. Grab a little bit of the Nightmare Black. I'm gonna tilt this guy down just a little bit. Try and not let my fat hands make too much of a mess in here. So I'm taking the Nightmare Black, and I'm going to take some of that aged bone, and I'm going to try and blend it all together, just ever so gently, up against the edge of the shirt. Nelson and Lacey, are you playing any tabletop RPGs at the moment? Blend this out. Blend. And I'm going to pull a little bit more. Just taking it all. I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way around the collar while I feel like my hands are steady enough to not mess it up too bad. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then that way I can not have to worry about it too much. And I can come back in just around the edges where the collar comes down. Nightmare of the Black, come around the edge and be my friend. Imperial Assault, is that a Star Wars RPG? I've not seen that one, obviously. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, we need. We recently started playing Castle Panic because it's good for like 7-year-old play. We don't do a lot of board games currently, just because of time. the timing never seems to work out. Keep hoping that sometime in the next year or so I'll start up a D&D campaign or Pathfinder campaign set in Revelo. Just to start doing some playtesting. I like the board games, but I like the role playing so much more. Put a little bit down in there. Yes, one day, the time I'll bend more of the time and space. It will all work out. All right, I'm gonna come back around. Almost made it almost all the way around just for that collar area, just to get some color in there, so that that part can be done. At least mostly done. It's crazy seeing little hints in here that I need to just gently, ever so gently, come across with the brush and try not to mess that up. Okay, gonna grab some more of the Nightmare Black. Bring it in just around the edge. Awesome, that's great. That's I was trying to do a Friday night Pathfinder game with our son, and it worked for a couple weeks in a row. Then he got kind of bored with it. I think it's just his age isn't quite there yet for that, for like just a little family little game night thing. All right, I've got enough of that in that I can start building out the rest of this. Rinse that off. It's crazy how the lamps start like about halfway through painting. It's like all of a sudden it's just like, wow, I'm really my normal sweaty self. Nelson, did you end up making it down to the art takeover at all, or did your game take up the majority of the evening? I assume the game night starts after, Lacey, I assume the game night starts after your daughter goes to sleep? All right, let's get this shirt knocked out. I'm ready to get back to painting more on the face of this beastie, and putting some more colors into the nose and the horns. Not that I'm gonna rush anything. Oh, and I forgot I've got to get the complete underside of his shirt, so we will be doing a good bit more on this shirt before I get to go back and do what I want to do up there. Awesome. That's great. I need to put some more of the aged bone back down on the old pallet. Squirt. And then grab a little bit more of this. Just pull this up. Oh, right on. Yes. So my stream schedule, and I think I'll probably stay on doing it on Facebook for a little while and see if it continues to grow. My stream schedule will be Monday night from 9:30 to 11:30. Yes, we have about 28 minutes left in tonight's episode. Wednesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. This is all Eastern Standard Time for those that might be in a different time zone. And then on from 9:30 to 11:30 Saturday night. With the exception, sometimes I have to cancel due to being away at a convention or family obligations, but I'm pretty good about doing that most of the time, as we don't have a whole lot going on aside from that. And I will, if anybody's watching that is somehow watching on after the fact on YouTube or anything like that, you can catch it at facebook.com/thebriancolin. And I will then also be posting these, the whole stream up on YouTube probably the next day, unless I find some sort of integration with Facebook that'll allow that to all show. Why are you? Something just dinged weird. Thanks, Nelson. I really do appreciate it. Awesome. Well, good night. I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out, and I'm sure I'll run into y'all around town sometime as well. All right, so I feel like I've got most of this shirt figured out. Woohoo! Got 50 comments so far. I know a lot of that was at the beginning with Russ and Carrie trying to make sure that I was able to see everything. That's pretty darn solid for my second night of streaming on Facebook. All right, gotta keep blending this here. All right, I feel like that's coming along pretty well in that part of the shirt. Gotta tilt it up back towards me just a little bit, and then I also have to, there we go. Gonna have to bring it around the backside just a little bit. Then we're gonna have to get up underneath. Oh, and if anybody is watching and is in West Georgia area and is interested in learning about crowdfunding creativity, tomorrow night at the Artist Guild meeting, I will be giving a presentation on one failed Kickstarter campaign and one successful one, and how I think it can benefit artists to make money and grow your audience, grow your fan base. It's important to get out in front of people. I'm so digging this guy so far, which is weird. I mean, you should like what you make, but there's more personality to him than I imagined there would be when I first started on it. All right, so I'm going to put a little more Nightmare Black down, and I've got to get up underneath his shirt. I've got to get this side of the shirt. It's not the most exciting part of the painting extravaganza, but it must be done. So over here, I've got my name kind of carved into it. And then also over on this side, I've got my C stamp, which is my creature curation stamp, jammed up in there. Is my designery C that is now in almost all my stuff. It is, I've told my kids that it's going to be our family crest moving forward. At least I know one of them is going to be completely nerdy. Hopefully the other one will be as well. Okay, gonna just blend this stuff in, work that down into the shirts. Well, for anybody that hasn't streamed on Facebook and is thinking about it, having the stream going on my phone where I can see the conversation is so much better than trying to see the conversation in the browser. The browser wasn't refreshing. Like, I guess there's something built into it where it doesn't refresh at the same rate as the phone does. So I'd have to close out the browser, reopen it to see the comment section. This is so much better, being able to see it actually just, if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. All right, we need more of that aged bone. All right, I'm gonna keep blending this color in. Is anybody still tuning in? Also, don't feel as weird asking folks questions, I guess, on here as I did on Twitch. But never, like, I'd try and get people to chat. It wasn't quite as easy because I think the audience was so much different. So I'm putting all this coloring down here, and I'm going to have to turn it around and look at it from the front and make sure I'm not putting all sorts of weird mixed up blues up underneath the front of the main part of it. And this right here was just, so the styrofoam base that I started with to sculpt on top of for this was a pedestal mount base. So that means it had like a rod coming up through it, and like you would mount it onto some rocks or something like that. But I wanted this to be a wall mount, so I had to rip that out and sculpt on top of it, build out some wood in the back of it so it had something to grip onto so it could mount to the wall. There we go. So if he looks a little weird underneath there, that's why. Gonna bring that in, bring a little bit of this in here. All right. Yeah. So now that I've starting to learn about the regular questions on Facebook and things like that while streaming, I think I'll have to put some little info windows up in the Windows screen. I think that'll help as well. And gonna grab a little bit more Nightmare Black and just touch up just a little bit right here. Just a little bit right in here. Blend a little bit more of this in. All right, I think now it's time to take a break from the shirtage. As I get this worked in, I need to put a little more light color back up in there now that I've done that just a little bit more. And, all right, I'm gonna take a break from the shirt for a minute. Let's look at the rest of the horns a little bit. And grab, what was I going to say? Oh, it's going to be the aircraft gray. I do have a little bit of that down here. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of that aircraft gray since I've got it. And just kind of blend this up over top until it works itself all the way out of this brush. For some reason I thought I heard a ding, but I did not. So putting a little bit of the highlight in there. Ooh, watch where my brush goes. Put a little bit of something behind here so you can see the highlights there. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that aircraft gray and put another little light dusting down here. I'm just going to work that up until it runs out of the brush again. And I'm just going to do this a couple times, maybe just to layer it up, so it'll have a nice gradation going up the horn of this beastie. Then we'll probably do the same thing on his nose, just to, there we go. Do a little bit of dry brushing up here just to give it a little more depth to the overall piece. Where did you go? There you are. All right. Blend this up some more. And blend and blend and blend. All right. Got to spin it around every now and again just to make sure you're getting all of the angles that you want to get. And then I think I'll do an even darker color up and where the horns go up into the head. Well, let's do a little bit more of the lightness. Brighten things up just a little bit. And gently brush this over top. And keep smacking this all the way up. All right, got a good gradation going on there. It's time to turn the beast around. Okay, that was terrible. I apologize for that. Public shaming. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing on this back horn. And gonna drop some in here. And keep going. We grabbed a lot more paint that time than the previous time, so this one probably is not going to take nearly as many layers to build up on it as the other one. And all right, let's let that set up just for a second. Keep spinning this guy around. Okay, when you spin it around, especially when you're working in three-dimensional areas like this, it's good to go all the way around it, just so that you can make sure to see all the little spots. Like I'm going to come in from this side now, and come up the back where there's a little plane of the horn that I was totally missing. So just gotta bring that up a little bit. Now let's put some of this aircraft gray on the snout of this beastie. Just gonna grab just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit on the top of that brush. Turn him towards me just a little bit more. Just gently slap that in. That's gonna go just over some of the texture. I'm gonna knock my phone off my desk. Slap this down on top. All right. And then keep going down this way. Okay. So I think that definitely added a lot to it right there. I'm going to rinse out my brush. And now we're going to bring some of the Nightmare Black into... I don't know if I want to add that bluish color up in there. I think it'll be too... Will it be too much blue? I don't know. No, let's bring in a black wash. So a black wash is a watered down black. It's thin enough that it goes over top of everything and it seeps down into some of the cracks. Sorry, my contact is all of a sudden bugging. It seeps into the cracks. I'm going to do some around these horns around the top. I'm going to do some down around the teeth a little bit, down around the lower part of the mouth, and see how that starts to set in, and then I'll probably do some more super highlights as well. But he's coming a long way in the hour and 45 minutes we've been jamming. So stand up, stretch, and look for a black wash. Black primer, pure black, Nightmare Black, black wash. Now here's a very important thing that I must not do. I must not take this black wash and mix it up with my Nightmare Black and then lay down a ton of color on it, because that would just not be cool. So I'm going to get some of this and drop this down onto my palette. I'm just going to get this brush, let it soak some of it up, and just jam it around. Just let it go down, and just kind of pull it all the way down. Once it does that, I just get a thumb or a finger, I wipe some of the top layer off. Basically, just want to go over the top surface area that the black that's not really coating, and just pull it away. Get more of my brush. I'm gonna come down along here, do the same thing. It's got a lot of black in it. I want to make sure I pull away off that top layer so it really just kind of soaks down into the creases. Pardon me for a second while I get close up and personal on this one. I'm going to wipe it away off of the lower lip because I really want it to just be on that upper lip area and in that tooth. But sometimes you cannot, sometimes the paint goes where the paint wants to go. You just got to roll with it. Worst case, you have to put more paint on top of it. Best case, it does something you're not expecting, and it has greater results than your brain was taking it to. Now it's starting to get a little more contrast, a little more depth going on with that. I'll just put a little bit more there. I don't want to overuse this this black wash. Just want it in certain areas. Maybe I'll do a little bit up here. Maybe I'll start to overuse it just a little bit. Basically, I'm gonna pull it up so it'll kind of start to fade up from the chest up. I'm gonna pull this straight up. All right. Now I'm gonna spin this guy around a little bit. Pull some of that paint off of the lip. Might have to go back in and touch that lip up just a little bit. Gonna grab some more right here. Gonna put a little bit in over this tooth. Come in along this lip line. Gonna wipe this tooth up just like I did on the other one. Pull some of this black wash up through the rest of this area here. Put some into the eye socket in just a minute. And where did we go? There's some black. Gotta put this into the eye socket. Pull some up this way. All right. Put a little bit down around shirt line. Just blend that up just a little bit. Oh, almost forgot. Up around this horn. That's not cool. I must not forget that. Put some in, jam this in here. Pull that down just a little bit. I should be doing Wednesday afternoon, 1 to 3, which is weird. I know, but it's a way for me to break up my work week a little bit and have some fun in the middle of the day. And then after that, I should be doing one next Saturday from 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. But it'll kind of depend. I'm doing a convention the following Thursday in Kansas City, so it'll kind of depend on what. I don't know if I'll be sculpting, painting, or what I'll be doing because it'll kind of see what I still have left that I need to get done in preparation for that show. Are you getting ready to call it a night? So I'm getting close to calling it myself, I do believe. Do some more detail, a few more details on this shirt, I think. I like how the overall face is looking. I think the colors are coming out good. Overall, although I guess I could come back in and start doing some more highlights. No, I'll put some more lowlights in real quick. Some more shadows with this blue a little bit. going to blend some of this in just a little bit. And thank you for tuning in tonight, Plumber. I really appreciate it, man. It's weird when I hear dings in the music that I think are dings on the Facebook. It's like, huh? Now I'm just adding some more, just a little more layering of shadows to just kind of build it up a little bit more. Make it a little more rich. And there we are. Almost grabbed the black wash, which wouldn't have been terrible, but it wouldn't have fit quite right with this, right in this area. Though I'm kind of starting to treat this a little bit as a wash, and just kind of blending this in a little bit. Cool, man. Thanks, Mark. I hope you have a lovely evening and get plenty of the rest. I'm going to blend some of this. I will. Blend just a little bit more of this blue down. Wash a little bit this way. All right. It's almost, I think the shirt's almost where I want it to be. Pull just a little bit more of the Nightmare Black in. I want to put a little bit into my creature curation symbol. I want it to kind of, I think it was looking a little too smooth. This is starting to look a little more weathered, a little more beaten, frayed. So, it's 11:24. We're getting close to time. Tonight, when we embarked on this quest, this creature was completely black. There was no color on him whatsoever. Now he is starting to feel like there's true life in this beast, or there once was. I'm gonna scrape a little bit of the button here. Basically, do that, or let's see. I've got another scrapey tool that I'll try. Basically, I want to get the paint off of there, so the pearl essence is kind of shining through a little bit more. I don't think I want to add any more highlights to this creature. I think he's got enough going on already. I think if I add more, it's just going to feel like stark white on top of him. So I'm going to grab, see if I've got a little bit of the brains pink that's still in there. See if there's a little bit of that bloodstained red. Do just a tiny little bit, just touch up some of this around the lip where the black wash got a little in too much. Just build that up just a little bit more. Just touch that up. Bring some of that in throughout the rest of it. Dip, 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 dip. I'm just going to blend this down just a little bit. Highlight that lip a little bit more. Just going to bring this all the way across. All right, I'm going to do a little bit right in the front. Not much. All right. I think that's it for this evening. I think I need to stop and sit and let it rest and decide if I need to do more to it. So for everyone that's tuned in tonight, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm Brian Cullen. These are my creature curations. I'm slowly building out my fantasy world of Revlo. I will be back streaming Wednesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. on Saturdays and Mondays. The Facebook page is Facebook/the Brian Pullen. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me through any of the social channels. You can find them on brianpullen.com. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And now, how to stop the Facebook post? I don't know. All right, thanks everybody.